Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really try to get to the heart of the sources you're interested in.
Exactly. No wading through endless text, just the core insights served up clearly.
And today we're diving into a discourse called Brahma Kumaris, dated May 7th, 2025. It's got some, well, unique takes on faith, visions, spiritual growth.
It really does. It presents ideas that might challenge some common assumptions about connecting with the divine. It's quite fascinating.
Okay, so let's jump right in. One of the first big things, it seems, is this relationship between faith and visions. The source seems to say they're not quite what we might think.
That's right. It draws a very clear line. It says genuine faith, the kind that really sticks and transforms you, comes from knowledge and that connection through yoga.
Not from seeing things.
Not primarily, no. The text explicitly states, your faith develops with this knowledge in yoga, not by having visions. It puts the emphasis firmly on understanding and inner connection.
So what about visions then? Are they just dismissed?
Not dismissed entirely, but their role in actual spiritual advancement is, let's say, downplayed quite significantly. The source explains them as being part of this preordained drama.
Drama, like a cosmic play.
Exactly. Think of it like a script for the universe. Visions happen, they're in the script, but experiencing one doesn't automatically mean you've, leveled up spiritually.
The source even asks a pretty deep question related to this, doesn't it? Something about bringing the dead back to life.
Yes, it poses the question, why doesn't the Father God reveal that power? If he can grant visions, why not something so miraculous?
And the answer is?
The answer given is that while God has the power, it's simply not part of the plan, not part of the drama to reveal it. Visions, though, are part of it.
Okay, so visions can happen. The source says they're granted because of intense devotion.
Intense devotion, yes. But again, it circles back to being part of that pre-written drama. It even uses the word magic to describe the granting of visions.
Magic? That's an interesting choice of word in a spiritual context. Why magic?
Well, it seems to be used to explain how someone might suddenly have a vision of, say, Rama or Sri Krishna, even just sitting at home. It's presented as a specific, almost contained power.
But wouldn't seeing something like that feel incredibly profound? Take someone like Mira, famous for her visions of Krishna. Wouldn't that strengthen faith immensely?
You'd think so, right? But the discourse actually mentions Mira specifically. It says something like, despite her visions, she could not attain me through that.
Wow. So seeing isn't attaining.
Precisely. That's the core message here. Having a vision, however powerful, is different from the understanding and the direct connection you get through knowledge and yoga. It's about the internal knowing, not just the external seeing.
That definitely shifts the perspective. Okay, so this leads us maybe to the idea of satsang spiritual gatherings. The source has a unique view on this too.
It does, yes. It critiques traditional satsangs, suggesting they often rely too heavily on scholars interpreting scriptures, which can sometimes lead to a sort of intellectual dependency where you're always looking outward.
Instead of inward.
Right. And it contrasts this with what it calls a unique satsang, something happening only now during this specific confluence age.
A special time.
Yeah.
What makes this unique satsang different then?
The key difference is the direct connection. It's about the intellect connecting directly with the unlimited Father, who's described as incorporeal Shiv Baba.
So it's not just about being physically present or listening to readings.
No, the understanding happens through the intellect. It bypasses the need for intermediaries in the same way. And there's this really personal address used in the source.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Oh, my long lost and now found children. Oh, my salagrams.
Salagrams.
Yeah.
Those little sacred stones. That sounds incredibly intimate, like a direct call.
It really does. It moves away from maybe a more formal, ritualistic idea of a gathering towards something deeply personal, direct, and intellectual.
This idea of a unique understanding now, in this age, seems tied to concepts of impurity and purification as well. The source says the whole world is impure, even revered figures.
Yes, that's a strong point it makes. It states the whole world, including even Brahma in his final birth, has become impure over time. And it challenges common purification practices.
Like bathing in holy rivers, the Ganges, for instance.
Exactly. It directly questions the idea that bathing in the Ganges or any physical river is what truly purifies the soul. It argues those waters aren't the real purifiers.
Okay, so if it's not the physical Ganges, What is the source of purification according to this text?
Well, it offers this really interesting metaphor. It says that you, the listeners absorbing this knowledge, become the Ganges of this knowledge.
We become the river.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
You spread this purifying understanding out into the world. It shifts purification from an external ritual to an internal state achieved through wisdom, which you then share.
That's quite empowering, making each person a source of purity. Okay, let's circle back to that drama concept we mentioned. It seems pretty fundamental to understanding the father's role here.
Absolutely crucial. The idea is that everything, every role, every action, including the father's, is fixed within this cosmic drama.
So the father isn't supposed to perform miracles like raising the dead.
Correct. His primary preordained role in this drama is specifically to teach, to impart this knowledge. Performing those kinds of miracles isn't his part.
And granting visions fits into that predetermined role.
Yeah.
As that sort of magic.
Yes, exactly. It's described as a way to fulfill the temporary desires born out of intense devotion, a kind of divine concession, you could say. But crucially, it's not the path to ultimate lasting realization.
It provides comfort or validation, maybe, but not liberation.
That seems to be the idea. The source even mentions figures like Kali, Hanuman, Ganesh, Guru Nanak. People might have visions of them, but it's ultimately the Father granting these, and they don't provide that core lasting benefit. The focus always returns to the knowledge itself.
Even Brahma, the source mentions, had a vision.
Yes, Brahma received a vision of establishment and destruction from Shiv Baba. But again, the text emphasizes that even such significant visions don't bring the lasting benefit that comes from imbibing the knowledge.
It really feels like a consistent effort to steer attention away from external phenomena towards internal understanding.
That's a great way to put it. The true path, the way to develop real faith and achieve what's called masterhood, is presented as being solely through this knowledge and the practice of yoga, the connection, not chasing visions.
And progress isn't uniform, right?
Yeah.
The source uses an analogy.
Right. It mentions progress being number-wise, meaning people progress at different rates and reach different levels, much like rivers vary in depth. Everyone's journey is unique in its pace.
And this knowledge-based path is contrasted with what it calls blind faith of devotion.
Yes, it positions this knowledge as offering a more direct, enlightened understanding compared to devotional practices that might lack that deep intellectual comprehension.
There was an interesting anecdote mentioned, too, about Baba's past perspective.
Ah, yes. It mentions that Baba, in a previous life as a devotee of Narayan, apparently disliked the traditional depiction of Lakshmi serving Narayan. It's used as an example of how this new knowledge changes perspectives, moving beyond ingrained devotional ideas.
So the goal isn't just devotion, it's transformation, becoming masters.
Exactly. Moving from the state of being a devotee to becoming a master, someone who inherits the fortune of the kingdom, essentially achieving a state of spiritual sovereignty and lasting happiness.
And the Father teaches specific actions to achieve this. Actions for 21 births of happiness.
That's the promise, yes. The Father teaches the actions that lead to that long-term happiness. The source also clarifies the roles. Father gives knowledge, teacher explains it, guru focuses on purity and stories, perhaps. But the knowledge here is presented as uniquely comprehensive.
And comes back to focus, doesn't it? That idea about final thoughts.
Final thoughts lead you to your destination. It highlights the immense power of our mental state, especially the importance of yoga, that constant remembrance of the incorporeal Father.
Like the image of Sri Krishna turning away from the old world.
Precisely. Rejecting the old, embracing the new. It's a metaphor for your own journey, the listener's journey, letting go of old consciousness and limitations through this knowledge.
So how does one live this out practically, while still being in the world? The source talks about following Mama and Baba.
Yes, following the guidance of Mama and Baba, the key spiritual figures in this path, is presented as the way to claim a high spiritual status. And there's the concept of the boon, or blessing, from Shiv Baba.
A blessing for eternal happiness.
Yes, through knowledge and yoga. But it's stressed that this isn't just passively received. You have to actively learn and follow the directions. It's not just about asking, it's about doing.
There's also that phrase, going beyond sound and becoming a complete Buddha. What does that mean in practice?
Going beyond sound suggests reaching a state of deep inner quiet, beyond the noise of the world, beyond even the constant chatter of our own thoughts and learned concepts.
Like meditation.
Deeper than just sitting meditation, perhaps. It's about the state of mind. And becoming a complete Buddha, it means innocent, like a clean slate. forgetting past learning, even spiritual learning from other paths, to really absorb this specific guidance from the Father with complete openness.
Like emptying the cup before you can fill it.
Exactly. A kind of deliberate mental and spiritual decluttering. The Source also frames the soul's journey coming from the supreme abode, taking bodies.
And the Father teaches first-class actions to reverse that journey.
To elevate the soul back towards purity, yes, there's that analogy of the Father being like a businessman.
A businessman, how so?
Exchanging the old, worthless things, our vices, impure habits, wrong ideas for new, valuable, golden-aged qualities. It's a transactional metaphor for transformation.
And the core instruction underlying all this.
Become man manahav. Remember the Father. Keep that connection constant. It's the anchor.
And this focus on purity, it even extends to relationships, like marriage.
Yes, the possibility of maintaining pure relationships, even within marriage, is discussed, achieved through the sword of knowledge. It acknowledges this takes courage.
What's the reward for that effort?
The Source mentions that remaining pure for this one birth leads to 21 births of health and happiness. A huge attainment, it calls it.
That's significant. And there's mention of a Shakti army. What's that about?
It's symbolic of the individuals, particularly women, but encompassing all souls striving, who are battling Maya illusion and negativity through their own spiritual effort, becoming conquerors of the world, meaning their own inner world and influencing the outer.
And the Father's guidance is multifaceted.
Very much so. Father, teacher, guru, yes, but also goldsmith refining the soul and laundryman washing away the impurities. It's presented as complete support.
Okay, so that covers a lot of the core concepts. Now let's talk about the essence for dharna. Dharna means imbibing, right? Making it practical.
Exactly. This section boils it down to the essentials for daily life. What do you actually do?
So what are the key principles?
There are two main points highlighted. First, actively follow the Father's specific directions for purity, even while living at home, in the family. It's about purity in the world.
Requires conscious effort then.
Definitely. And the second point is to constantly follow Shrimat. That's the term for elevated divine directions. Perform good actions, cultivate that inner silence, go beyond sound, keep remembering the Father, and crucially, let go of limiting past knowledge or habits.
So a very active moment-to-moment practice.
Yeah.
Okay, following that practical essence, there's a blessing for inner strength. This seems vital given the challenges mentioned.
Absolutely. Life throws curveballs, right? This blessing is about building resilience. It encourages you to become unshakable, immovable.
Changing perspective.
Yes, by viewing difficult situations not as problems, but as, well, as good luck. Opportunities that actually strengthen your faith.
That's a radical reframe. Good luck.
In the sense that they push you to connect more deeply, to rely on that inner strength. The blessing advises taking a high jump when challenges appear, using them as a springboard.
Like the story of Angat.
Exactly, becoming as firm and unmovable as Angat. The idea is that if your faith is strong enough, the very tests and difficulties will eventually salute you, recognizing your power. Things that seemed fearsome become servants.
Wow. It's about facing challenges head on, like a Mahavir, a great warrior.
Precisely. And there's a beautiful final image in the blessing.
What's that?
The idea that for a master ocean, someone truly established in their original peaceful spiritual state, difficulties are like drawing a line on water.
Yeah.
They make no lasting impression. You remain undisturbed.
That's a powerful state to aspire to. Okay, next up is the slogan for positive transformation.
Yeah.
These seem like concise takeaways.
They are. This one is quite direct.
What is it?
Together with saying goodbye to the old year, also say goodbye to bitterness.
Simple but profound. Letting go of negativity.
Yes. Not just letting the calendar turn, but actively releasing any lingering resentment, grudges, bitterness from the past, an ongoing internal cleanse.
A very practical piece of advice. And finally, the Aviac signal. Subtle guidance, it says. What's the focus here?
This signal is about maintaining that connection, that spiritual vibrancy. It emphasizes imbibing spiritual royalty and purity.
How do you do that?
By fostering a very close, loving, and constant relationship with the Father, the bestower of blessings.
Yeah.
Staying in that combined form, soul consciously linked with the divine.
And this creates a kind of protection.
Yes, it talks about an automatic canopy of purity when you're in that connected state, feeling the presence of the almighty authority. But it also warns
Warns about what?
that this feeling, this suhag tilak of purity, like the mark of being divinely connected, can fade if you start to feel alone or disconnected. if that link weakens.
So constant remembrance is key to maintaining that purity and strength.
It seems to be the absolute foundation, yes. Keep the connection strong.
Well, this has certainly been a deep dive. We've touched on quite a lot, the focus on knowledge and yoga over visions.
Right, that unique understanding of satsang, the path to purification and becoming a master through following guidance.
And the importance of inner strength, letting go of bitterness, maintaining that connection.
Hopefully this gives you, our listener, some really valuable insights to reflect on from this particular discourse.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider how this principle, prioritizing inner knowledge and direct connection over external signs or fleeting experiences, might resonate in other parts of your life, beyond just the spiritual, perhaps.
And following that slogan, what bitterness, big or small, might you need to consciously say goodbye to move forward more freely on your own path? Something to think about.